Hello, audience of Astro van enthusiasts and other enthusiasts. Today is March 1st. It's a Sunday, 2026. March 1st, 2026. It's 9:13 in the a.m. I'm going to defer doing any videos on the 2005 Honda Civic problem until I get a scanner. But let's talk about what we're going to do now on the 1994 Chevy Astro van project. And this is a documentary, not a how-to, and the objective is just to make it a daily driver again, not a full restoration. Okay, well, we had talked about the remanufactured engine from Powertrain Products needing a head, so they sent me another head minus those plugs, so I got to install those. And saying, well, what would be good to put on those? So I've decided to use Ultra Gray, Permatex Ultra Gray, to put those on. And we'll talk about things that are handy to have around the tool shop a little bit later. We'll talk about that. I got some prepared stuff here to talk about after we install those plugs. This is going to take an Allen head wrench, so probably this set here would be helpful. This Home Hardware set of Allen drives that I can use with a 3/8 inch drive to make easy work of it. And I bought this digital caliper at Harbor Freight the other day, and man, that thing's handy. I like that. I really like that. It works really well compared to the other calipers I have. So let's get to it. I'm going to pause the camera and come back after these are installed. But they got some red stuff on here. What is that they use? What is the red stuff? What is that? It's not Permatex red. It's not the same consistency. It's got a different consistency than Permatex red. I wouldn't use Permatex red anyway because it'll never come out without heat. So don't use Permatex red. But it's red something, and I've seen this used quite a bit on some applications, mostly automotive. So I don't know what it is. Post a comment if you know. If you know, let me get a close-up on that. This red stuff. Yeah. Alright, anyway, onward and upward, next segment. This set is well worth the $13.99 I paid for it at Home Hardware. I can see the sticker on it. It seems to be underneath there. I think it says it reads Vulcan is the company. And without my reading glasses, I can't say. Let me try to see if you can read it. Anyway, to remove the thing from the keeper, you got to rotate it 90 degrees until it goes click. And kind of a nice system. It will not release unless you do that. But it looks like 5/16 SAE is the correct size. 5/16. So, and I had to use pliers to turn this. These do not want to turn. They're very stiff when it's new like that. But this holder, this works well. It actually does. Well designed, whoever did it. Anyway, this kit's worth having because now I can, instead of having to fumble with a Allen wrench, I can use a regular ratchet and do a proper job. So I'm going to carry on. Next segment. Humidity's super high today. Might rain. My planned activity for the day is to do the spark plug wires first and then weave everything else, all the rest of the wiring as necessary, to prepare to attempt to start the engine later once I'm sure. But I have a hose here. I don't know where it goes from the heater, so I got to ferret that out. Ferret it out. Which word is better, audience? Post a comment. Okay, this thingamajig they call a pipe plug, and according to the official websites it's 3/8 inch, but I measure 5/8 inch. So anyway, whatever it is, and in a pinch you can get one from almost any hardware store if you say it's a pipe plug. If you say it's a head for a 94 Chevy Astro van, they're going to cross their eyes and say they can't help you. Never heard of it, but that's a pipe plug. And without this, you'll have a coolant loss on the passenger side head. The driver's side head has a knock sensor and a coolant temp sensor on the two holes on the driver's side. But the two holes on the passenger side, you got a plug. And it's called a pipe plug, of all things. And I can't find it listed on the GM websites for the parts breakdown. It just doesn't show up. So add this to your information bag, because you're going to play hell to find one otherwise. Took me a while to research that, but I hope this information is interesting. Thumbs up if it is. Thumbs up. This here shows you how I use the wrench with the socket to put in those pipe plugs. Now the top pipe, these plugs I should have put in before I installed the head, if I had the presence of mind to look at the holes, which I didn't. So note to self, ding ding ding, thumbs up, red flag. Make sure you got the plugs in, because there was no clearance between the oil stick and my tools, including having to go and find, I need to buy more of these. I only had one. Of all my Allen wrenches, I only had one that was that size. So anyway, I had to release the lower support for the oil tube and the upper support for the oil tube, and then use a little persuader to selectively bend with this big crowbar. And by the way, I bought this set of screwdrivers, this 18-inch long. I bought this so I could, before I had the tool for the distributor, so I could move the oil pump into alignment at the distributor's home spot. So, and it was very affordable, this set of screwdrivers at Harbor Freight. And this is, I think, an 18-inch shaft, and it's a little bit longer with the handle. But I'm trying to cut that metal because I tried to cut the handle off, because I just wanted to put a drill motor on it and see if I had oil pressure before I had the tool for priming the pump. Anyway, I had to release the thing that holds the that bolt there, 10mm. Had to release that lower so I could selectively bend it, and I had to release it up here because these two are bolted together with that. I don't know if you can see that or not, but me saying can you see that doesn't help, right? Alright, well, with this cable in the way. Anyway, yeah, so it's, the engineering on this is real good once you understand it, because I had trouble with one of them and tried to make adjustments before I realized it won't adjust unless you release both points that are holding it, which is that bolt there, which holds this, I don't know if it's this, or I got to figure this out for the wires. And I do have diagrams for the wires, and they're very explicit. Shows me exactly. I'll probably start on the driver's side first, because that's easiest, and then go over to the passenger side, and I'll let you stare at that for a moment. And it's better diagrams here, even so, in the service manual. Shows the exact position of the coil wires and how they relate to the engine. I'll let you stare at that for a minute. So, onward and upward, making good progress getting those two plugs in. It only took me an hour to ferret out that I needed this rig to get it dirt tight at the end. You need that. If you tried to do it with the Allen wrench, you'd be struggling unassisted without the force of this setup. So put in your pipe plugs before you install the head, and you'll be ahead of the game and not even know it. So little problems like this is what takes a lot of time. So next segment. This is a documentary about my van. Dennis Sytsma, Dennis John Sytsma Productions, Homestead, Florida, USA. Do-it-yourself work can result in death or injury, so it's done at your own risk. This is not a do-it-yourself or how-to. This is a documentary. Anyway, sport fans, March 1st, 2026. Yesterday I had to replace this GFCI receptacle, ground fault interrupter, anyway, 4 letters. They are expensive, but required by national code. And I was an owner built anything in a wet environment, you should have this kind of receptacle that will pop. And it's cool how it works. It measures the current on the hot lead and the current on the return lead, and it's a bridge. And if they're not equal currents, more than 4 milliamps difference, if 4 milliamps is missing, it pops, or designed to, if it's working. Anyway, I kept having problems with this thing, so I had to replace it. The new one's working beautifully. I bought a quality one this time because I usually buy these online. They're so much less expensive, but I kept having problems with the online one, so broke down and went to the local home center and got quality ones this time. I think this is an Eaton, and I'm happy with it so far. Okay, enthusiasts, 94 Astro van project continued, March 1st, 2026. I'm going to stop at salvage yards, try to get some more parts. Somebody posted a way to fix this, and that way I can continue to use my original face here. The only one I can find to buy now are the aftermarket ones that are have a different look. And I played hell to get this installed where it wouldn't come loose. And so this may not seem intuitive. And there's the hose. I can't figure out where it goes to. Where do you go to? You go somewhere. Anyway, don't know. But I'm going to start to take this apart, so I know what tools I need to work on the air conditioning, and there's some work I can do right away to seal up the system and pull a hard vacuum, but I don't have time for that. But I'll show you that in future videos, documentaries. So let me see what screwdriver I need to get this grill off. Okay people, sorry for the poor camera work, but doing the best I can by myself. Anyway, I had to remove the valences or boots or whatever you call those things around the headlights, because I want to do some air conditioning work. And to do that I need to remove the front grille to get to the condenser or do the work. I'll show you the work I need to do once I get this off. But I had to, these are holding this in, so I had to remove both of those. Now don't lose any parts. I can't say that enough. Put them back where you found them. And these here I've got set aside for the moment till I get the grill off. And of course here I got them all. Now this tab I saved. Now these pieces here on the left and right, for some reason those are available online in abundance and they're affordable, and I need probably 2 new ones for sure, although one's broke and the other one's okay, but they both really look dated, so new ones would probably be good. Now on the bottom they've got 10mm bolts here holding the bottom of this, several, and I have to find and release those. They're difficult to get to unless you have handy dandy tools, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see how a project like this is very time consuming, requires fastidious work and study. And my clear coat's coming off here. got to go back to the body shop. Now, talking about project progression, most people do the body and interior first. Don't. I had to in this case, and I'll explain why in a minute, but you should do the drivetrain, brakes, and steering first. Get that all sorted, because then that's a lot less work if you're going to use shops to do the interior and body work later. A lot less work and less damage, unless you're doing work in the engine bay and want that painted. But even then, you know, it's easy to pull an engine or transmission and do that if you absolutely have to, you know. But this isn't a show car. This is just something I'm trying to get back to daily driver status. And I had it that way a year ago till I boogered up the alternator bracket and broke the bolts in the head. And well, anyway, that's a long story. But I got to get the right tool and get these last four, I think it's 4 bolts to take the grill off, and then I'll show you why I'm doing this and why I'm doing it now. Because I want to put a hard vacuum on it and see if I got any leaks, see if I need more parts. If there's a better tool than this to do this job, to remove these 4 bolts, let me know. And don't lose these bolts. I don't know what you call them, but anyway, 10 millimeter. And remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. So it's like that. So you have to reverse it in your mind like this, and know to loosen it, you're going counterclockwise as seen from the top. So it has to be like this at an angle. And to get that one out, I had to slip it in from the right hand side. I tried the left, but I'm right-handed, so did it this way, and it took forever. Then I got another one here I got to do, and it's getting really warm out here right now, so I'm going to take a human being break because I don't want to get heat stroke. And when I get this out, we'll get into the air conditioning repairs. But I want to put a hard vacuum on it, see if it holds the vacuum before I even worry about the engine running. I loosen the fastener, and I'm working on this one now. I loosen it till it's finger tight, and then I use 2 fingers from both hands and get it the rest of the way. And I know this is a strange way to work, but it's what I have to do, what Dennis has to do. This is a documentary, not a how-to. Okay, with the grill off, I can show you what I have to do here. I'm missing a pipe that goes from the bottom down there at the bottom of the condenser, and it runs up here and connects to this tubing. And apparently this breaks all the time because I was able to find a replacement, and it was easy to find this tube from the bottom. I tried to replicate it using another tube and bending it, but the only tube I could get that was pre-made was too long, and when I tried to put an S in it, it just didn't work. And of course you could always cut the ends off and use refrigerant line, but that's more expensive because it's difficult to find this refrigerant line that's flexible. Unless you know a source. And might be cheaper just to buy something and then cut it up to get to the refrigerant line, because it's too expensive to buy the line by itself. But anyway, this bottom is held with these magic screws, and I've dropped one and I can't find it, which brings me to the next problem, which is trying to recover what you've dropped down here, because there's a lip to catch everything, your tools, your sockets, nuts and bolts, and you can't get them out except here at the wide spot in the center. And that's the only place I could get this magnet to go in and out, this skinny long magnet. And the fat magnets didn't want to go past this metal. But I gotta, when it's cooler out, I'll come out and try to find it at night with a flashlight. I gotta find it. I can't lose one of these screws. These are, I don't know what they are, but before I put things back together, I will identify every screw. the size and what it is and the part number and all that, and add that to the photographs at the end of the documentaries, if and when I ever get around to that. But I'm putting in my magic bag here the tools I needed so far. It's Amazon's Basics bag just to get to the condenser. Took 2 tools and a magnet. The magnet was to recover stuff. So it's really hot out here right now, blazing hot sun, so I'll come back later and recover that last screw. It might have dropped all the way down. Now note to self, Dennis, next time you put this thing in the body shop, if and if you ever do, and it's clouding up, looks like it's going to rain pretty soon. It gets really hot before it rains here in South Florida. What you do is take off that lower plastic and the lights so the body shop don't damage them or lose them. Take off the front and rear bumper, and take off as much of the trim as you can manage, because they'll either lose it or damage it. And anything else you can take off to get it ready for the body shop paint. Now I've taken that loose, and this should be wrapped up in paper and masked off, and the other side too. And I'll order new ones, because I'd like this. I don't really care about aesthetics as much as function, but I think with this remanufactured engine, when I get it going, it's going to be a runner, and a good runner. And I'm going to look for another transmission just so I got one, because I want to rebuild a transmission, do a documentary on that, and see all the mistakes I make doing that, haha. So I got to take another human being break. It's really hot. Thanks for watching. Okay, this is the part I'm going to install for the air conditioning. Part number 15959978. 15959978. And it's going to rain, so I can't do that right now. But what you do is you put a little PAG oil on the seals before you crank it down tight. And then we can put a hard vacuum on here and see if we got any leaks. The air conditioning worked before I swapped the engine. It was working fine. No leaks or anything. But I had to disconnect the condenser to remove the engine. I had to disconnect one side and swing it out of the way. And it's going to rain any minute now, so that's fine. And if you subscribe and don't like it, you can unsubscribe. That's fine. Thanks for watching, audience. Audience, I apologize. I can't go on anymore. I can't do any more today. I wanted to put this hard line in and then put a hard vacuum on it and check my condenser for leaks, or my system, and I just can't do it. I'm exhausted. I can't go on. So it's going to have to wait for probably quite some time, because I have other projects that require my executive focus. Sadly, I wanted to do more today, but I just can't. So, audience, subscribe and you'll catch the next time I put something up. If you don't subscribe, that's fine. And if you subscribe and don't like it, you can unsubscribe. That's fine. Thanks for watching, audience. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. stop for now.